In the last video, we talked about the basic strategy you'll use for your on-page SEO. But what about link building? How has that changed in recent years? Once again, the key is to focus more on quality rather than quantity. If you once had 1,000 different links all coming from low quality websites, this could now actually stand to hurt your SEO as it will look like link spam. If you've been guilty of using these old practices in the past, you might want to consider Google's link disavow tool, which you can find here at google.com/webmasters/tools disavow links main PLI equals 1. And there is a posting on Google's blog which explains how the tool works and everything, and you can read more about that at support.google.com/answer/2648487 And what these tools do is it allows you to tell Google that you didn't ask for the low quality links and thereby prevent them from affecting your ranking. The fact that tools like this exist show that Google does still support good SEO, by the way. Once you've removed all your low quality links, you need to start looking for high quality links. Which ones are those? Simple. They're the ones that follow all of the advice that we gave in the last video on on-page SEO. These should be sites that are relevant to your niche stroke industry, but also ones filled with the very best quality content and which seem to have an entirely engaged user base. In other words, look for the very best sites in your niche. Make your site as good as theirs and then approach them for a link. The sites that Google will rank highest for a particular search term are the ones that appear the most relevant and that have the best content and the best design. At the same time, though, they will also be the ones that have the most trust. This means Google considers them an authoritative resource and expects the information on their site to be accurate and well written. This is something that sites like Moz have tried to quantify with terms like trust flow. However, there's no defined method of determining a site's trust, and instead we have to infer the best strategies for building trust, as usual. What we do know is there are some sites that Google trusts absolutely implicitly. These are sites like harvard.edu, BBC News, etc. And how does it know it can trust them? Well, the current understanding is that Google will trust sites which either have a very well organized brand name, like the BBC or The Verge, or sites that have .edu or .gov domains. So, how can the rest of us thrive? Well, simple. We try to get links that come from those highly trusted resources. If you were able to get a link from BBC News, for example, this would absolutely transform your success. You would find you got hundreds of thousands of visits to your site simply from people clicking on your link, and this would result in hundreds or even thousands of dollars in AdSense and sales overnight. Meanwhile, if the content that was linked to was good, thousands of these people would post your link and share it. And more importantly, Google would sit up and take notice that the BBC had linked to your site. A highly trusted authority is linking to your site, suggesting that your site is also a highly trusted authority. This will be worth more to you than a million links you bought, traded, or posted on link directories. If you can't get a link from the BBC, then where can you get a link from that will have a similar result? Unfortunately for many of us, it's nearly impossible to get a response from a massive site like the BBC, unless perhaps we have a newsworthy story and a useful contact. And so we're going to have to look elsewhere. A good place to start is with the Google News section of the SERPs. If you search for something like election results during an election, then you'll find that a few results are highlighted at the top of the page with an image and a snippet of text, as you can see here. Now, if you click here on the News tab, you can find more news and stories. Now, these news stories aren't manually curated, but are rather selected from Good SEO means forgetting SEO and concentrating on your user. It also means forgetting SEO insofar as you're going to be trying to merge your different marketing strategies to create one bigger approach. It means trying to write amazing posts and share them on SEO so that you get more links, and it means writing great content that keeps people on your page longer. Stop thinking in terms of SEO and social media marketing, and instead think about your SEO in terms of content marketing. Regardless of your strategy, there is no doubt that content is absolutely the most important asset when it comes to attracting traffic and impressing Google. But just what is content marketing? Content marketing is about creating content that will help Google to find your site and posts and to ensure you rank highly in the search engine results pages. While this is a powerful and useful effect, though, it's actually only one part of what content marketing is all about. At the same time, content marketing is about building a relationship on your site and ensuring that people begin to trust what you have to say. It means demonstrating your knowledge and point of view to the point where people seek you out as an authority. Once you get to that point, you'll be considered an expert in your field and you'll be able to greatly influence your audience, possibly influencing their buying behavior. So, how do you get to this point? Well, the key is to think about the sites and blogs that have influenced you over the years and the ones you read regularly. This isn't about building trust with Google, but rather it's about building trust with your readers so they want to keep coming back. The main thing normally is delivering value. Each post you create for your blog should provide some useful and or interesting information that is actionable. At the same time, it should offer something that isn't available elsewhere, and it should be in-depth and comprehensive. This differentness is incredibly important and is something that all too frequently gets overlooked. If you're trying to stand out in a crowded niche, say the fitness niche, then it's not enough to simply write posts on how to get abs or how to lose weight. There are countless articles out there with the exact same title and subject matter. Instead, you need to concentrate on offering something that will be different, which might mean writing about an entirely new training method, or it might mean writing about something that examines the psychological motivation to train. Always ask yourself, would you read that content? Meanwhile, you need to be consistent in posting this kind of content and you need to be smart with your branding. Your brand needs to evoke your mission statement and your ethos. People should know from your website design and logo alone exactly what kind of subject matter you're likely to deal in and what they can expect from your site. This is also how you can build brand recognition and a consistent image across different forms of marketing, including on different forms of social media. Write for a specific type of person and try to make your brand into a movement with a clear objective. That way, people can actually get excited about you and will really get behind what you're trying to do. But the main goal is to offer consistent value and to become a source that people can start to trust. That way, when someone searches for an answer to a question, they might read your post and be impressed. If you then come up in the search results again, they might recognize you and be more likely to click your listing over the rest. Then they might decide to look around the rest of your content after they've been impressed a few times. Eventually, you'll become their go-to source for answers in your niche. Well done. You just won at content marketing. The key is to consistently deliver value so that people come to your site for answers. And this is also, ironically, what will get other good sites to link to your site. This is the perfect example of emergent SEO. In this case, you're working with Google by writing amazing quality content, and Google is rewarding you. This is how you truly grow in an organic way. And content marketing like this also makes a lot of sense from a business perspective. That's because people will be much more likely to buy from you if they recognize, know, and trust your brand. If all of this is sounding a little complex, you might be considering skipping the hard part by outsourcing your SEO. But can you trust an SEO company to do the best possible job for your site and for your brand? While there are a ton of great SEO companies out there providing valuable work and helping companies to reach new heights in terms of their exposure and profits, the unfortunate fact of the matter is that there are probably more not so great SEO companies. These are the companies that didn't get the memo when Google changed. They're the companies that still insist on keyword stuffing and link spam. Worse still are the companies that knowingly don't do anything and just take your money. And the problem is that it isn't easy to tell the two apart. How do you know if your SEO company is offering great value for money or whether it's actually just twiddling its thumbs and sending you large invoices every few months? Now, this isn't a problem you face with most other industries. If you hire someone to paint your fence, then at the end of the day, you can see the work they're doing and you can decide for yourself if you're getting your money's worth. Ultimately, your fence is either going to be painted or it isn't. There are no half measures. The same is true for cleaning companies and marketing consultants and for accountants. But when you hire someone to do SEO, you actually can't see the results right away. It can take months for SEO to have a positive impact on your site's ranking, and even when it's been done well, there's no guarantee you'll get to page one. And worse, most people don't have a comprehensive knowledge of SEO, and so they don't know what the companies should be doing to help them get the best results. How can you check on someone if you don't know what they're meant to be doing? In fact, even if you handle SEO yourself, it can still be hard to know if it's working or not. There are some metrics and tools you can use to measure how well your site is doing, though, and I'll talk about them in the next video. Because some SEO tactics take a while to bring traffic to your site, sometimes it's hard to track whether your SEO campaign is working or not, especially if you're outsourcing the process to an SEO company. One thing you can do, though, is to ask the SEO company to provide you with the metrics regarding the SEO campaign, and some of these metrics can be more useful than others. You can ask for the number of links that have been built, for instance. Ask for the page rank of the pages where those links have been built, although page rank is now largely a depreciated measure. And use everything you've learned in this video series to ensure that those are high quality links and not just link spam. You need to think about long-term results, not a short-term boost. And you can track changes in your position in the SERPs, that's the search engine results pages. Many SEO companies will use tracking software which lets them see your site climbing the rankings for different terms over time. They can use these to deliver you a report showing how your site has climbed since their intervention. If you're handling your own SEO, you might still choose to use a tracking tool in order to keep an eye on your success over time and ensure that your efforts are getting results. But what does any of this tell you? Because here's something else to consider. Getting to the top of Google is not the end goal. Even if you get to the top of Google, there's no guarantee this will bring more profits for your business because you need to ensure that the people finding your content are targeted and that those people are converting. Or to put it another way, all that really matters is the bottom line. If you're a business and you're paying for SEO, you'll need to know that you're getting more sales because of that SEO and you're earning more money. This way, the SEO is offering ROI, which means it's been money well spent. Savvy companies track the ROI of their SEO spend by using a tool called Google Analytics. This is the most well-known analytics tool for webmasters and marketers, and one particularly useful feature it has is the ability to set a goal and then track the traffic that makes it to that goal. If you're trying to sell a product, your goal might be the thank you page people get directed to after a purchase. This allows you to see not only that you're getting more traffic, but also that you're getting more targeted traffic that's actually converting. Better yet, Google Analytics will be able to tell you where those converting visitors come from. And specifically, you'll be able to see if someone who used your search term eventually ended up buying your product. These are people who have bought products from you because of your SEO efforts. If you hire an SEO company to help you, with what we've covered so far, you should now know everything you need to know in order to begin a modern and effective SEO campaign. The problem, though, is that, as we've already mentioned, SEO is something that is constantly evolving and changing. We already know that Google has a lot planned for its search algorithm in the future. And the first big change we can expect to see going forward is the introduction of a real time algorithm. This means any changes made to your site's SEO might be reflected immediately in the search results. This is expected to affect Penguin predominantly, which means it will have the biggest influence on inbound links and whether your backlink profile is mainly made up of high quality links or spam. In this case, adding a spam link to your site could result in an immediate downgrade to your ranking. Likewise, though, the reverse could also be true. Using the disavow tool could help you to see an immediate recovery, while a very good link could result in an immediate boost to your site. It's also not too much of a stretch to expect that in future we might see this start to apply to other aspects of SEO, including the ranking of sites and pages. We already see newspaper stories appear very quickly in Google's search results. So, what should you do to make sure that you'll benefit from these changes? How can you future proof your site in this regard? Well, one tip will be to stay on top of your links disavowing and to make sure you're constantly adding links and removing the unnecessary ones. In the future, bigger sites may need to have a whole dedicated team working on keeping their links profile healthy around the clock. Likewise, make sure to keep updating your site regularly and to keep the date as a schema in all your content. One good way to know what's coming in the world of SEO is to keep your eyes peeled to industry news sites and specifically to Google's own blog. Another is to think about the direction that Google is heading in and to try and guess what its larger plans are. And right now, everything is pointing towards a heavy investment in voice search and AI. Google is not just a search tool. With the